Snooker has always been a game of control, of quiet focus, restraint, and calculation. But beneath the calm surface lies a world of wild contrasts. Some players thrive on lightning speed, others simmer with explosive temper, and a rare few glide through frames as if guided by something close to genius. Across decades, the game has produced characters so different in their rhythm, mood, and mind that trying to rank them by these traits feels almost impossible. Yet, if you want to understand what truly makes snooker magical, it's extremes of human personality. This is where to begin. There's something hypnotic about speed in snooker. Watching a player clear a table in minutes feels like witnessing a kind of creative storm. Instinct replacing analysis, adrenaline substituting for thought. The master of this art, beyond question, is Tony Drago. Known as the Tornado, Drago played snooker as though time itself was his enemy. In one famous frame, he took just over 3 minutes to clear the table. His cue action was quicksilver, no pauses, no overthinking, just a natural rhythm that seemed almost chaotic, yet devastatingly effective when it worked. The crowd loved him for it. His matches had no dead time. In a sport often criticized for being slow, Drago was pure velocity. Then came Jimmy White, the people's champion, the whirlwind entertainer. His pace wasn't just about how fast he potted balls, it was about how fast he thought. White read patterns instantly, trusted his instincts, and made snooker look almost effortless. During the late 1980s and early 90s, when he reached 6 World Championship finals, his natural flair was unmatched. He didn't play percentages, he played pictures. Every shot carried that tiny risk and made the audience hold its breath. And while speed sometimes cost him the ultimate prize, it made him one of the most adored figures the game has ever known. But speed isn't just about moving quickly, it's about tempo. Judd Trump's modern transformation showed how pace can be controlled and harnessed. Early in his career, Trump played with dazzling flair, fast, fearless, sometimes reckless. But as he matured, he learned to blend his natural speed with tactical intelligence. Today, his rhythm is almost metronomic, quick enough to dominate opponents, slow enough to suffocate them. Watching him build a break now feels like watching someone who knows the exact heartbeat of the game, a perfect balance between instinct and restraint. It's what separates the flashy from the truly great. Still, no conversation about speed is complete without Ronnie O'Sullivan. He's the ultimate paradox, the fastest player alive, but also the most thoughtful. His record-breaking 5-minute 8-second 147 remains the sport's most astonishing moment, a blur of movement, precision, and confidence. Yet what makes it genius rather than reckless is control. Ronnie O'Sullivan's play isn't rushed, it's fluent. It's as if the geometry of the table appears fully formed in his mind before he even strikes the cue ball. Every shot in that break was perfect. The angles, the spin, the position, it wasn't just fast, it was flawless. That's what separates speed from brilliance, and in Ronnie's case, it often feels as if time bends around him. But snooker has a darker, more combustible side too. For every calm genius, there's a firebrand who refuses to be tamed. The sport has seen tempers flare, cues snapped, referees challenged, and silence shattered by fury. In a game that demands composure, these moments stand out all the more sharply. Alex Higgins was chaos incarnate, the original hurricane. A genius, yes, but driven by emotion so fierce, it often consumed him. Higgins could conjure magic from nowhere, impossible pots, outrageous escapes, breaks that defied logic. But he also brought volatility that terrified officials and sometimes his opponents. He'd slam his cue, curse, shout, storm out, even argue mid-frame. He once punched a tournament official, headbutted a referee, and still walked back into the arena as if nothing had happened. Yet despite it all, he was loved, because Higgins played like life itself, unpredictable, emotional, human. His 1982 World Championship win remains one of snooker's most iconic moments, not just for the snooker, but for the raw tears he shed as he lifted his baby daughter on stage. That was Higgins, fury and fragility bound together. Ronnie O'Sullivan too carries that same mercurial temperament. For every breathtaking clearance, there's been a moment of frustration or rebellion. He's walked out mid-match, refused interviews, smashed cues, and even deliberately played left-handed to make a point. But O'Sullivan's temper isn't about arrogance, it's about standards. When he feels beneath his own expectations, the pressure implodes inwards. What's fascinating is now he's learned to manage that. Over the decades, we've watched a volatile prodigy evolve into a reflective champion, still capable of flashes of irritation, but now channeling it into brilliance. In that sense, O'Sullivan's battle has always been with himself, not with his opponents. Mark Allen represents another kind of temper, intensity rather than explosion. Alan wears his emotions on his sleeve. When he's on form, he plays with an energy that can dominate a room. But when things go wrong, you can see the frustration in every shot. He's honest, outspoken, and unafraid to show it. Yet that passion, that visible fire, is what makes him dangerous. Snooker isn't meant to be emotional, and yet emotion is exactly what separates the merely skilled from the truly memorable. And then there's John McEnroe's equivalent in snooker. Not one man, but a generation. The 1970s and 1980s were full of combustible personalities. Cliff Thorburns' smoldering intensity, Bill Werbenick's wild confidence, and of course, Kirk Stevens, the flair player who combined flamboyance with self-destruction. These were players who lived on the edge, and when the pressure built under the crucible lights, it sometimes exploded. Tempers didn't ruin snooker, they gave it soul. They reminded everyone that even in this quiet, dignified sport, the human heart still beats violently beneath the waistcoat. But genius, that's the rarest category of all. Speed can be trained, temper can be tamed, but genius is born. It's the intangible quality that can't be coached, predicted, or explained. You know it when you see it. Ronnie O'Sullivan embodies it, not just because of his record titles or rapid centuries, but because of how he sees the game. His cue action is poetry, the cue gliding through the ball without resistance, his stance relaxed, eyes locked in quiet confidence. He plays shots others wouldn't even imagine. There's an argument that he's the greatest cueist ever to live, and even his rivals tend to agree. Genius, in Ronnie O'Sullivan's case, isn't just skill, it's the ability to turn snooker into art. Then there's Stephen Hendry, the cold, analytical genius. Where Ronnie O'Sullivan's brilliance feels fluid, Hendry's was mechanical perfection. In the 1990s, he dominated the sport through relentless precision. He wasn't the fastest nor the most emotional, but he was unstoppable. Hendry's genius lay in discipline, his refusal to crack, his mental armor, his killer instinct. He'd crush opponents before they even realized they'd lost. For nearly a decade, Hendry turned snooker from a game into an empire. His reign was calculated, ruthless, and absolute. Steve Davis was genius in a different sense again, the pioneer. In the 1980s, Davis professionalized snooker. He didn't just win, he changed the culture. His focus, his calmness under pressure, his ability to adapt. All of it set the standard for the modern professional. He might not have had the flair of O'Sullivan or the chaos of Higgins, but he built the foundation for both. Davis taught snooker how to think. Without him, the sport might never have evolved into what it is today. And then there's John Higgins, the silent assassin of genius. His cue ball control is almost supernatural. When he's in form, the white ball obeys him like a loyal pet. Higgins doesn't rely on showmanship, he simply makes the right decision every time. Watching him is like watching mathematics in motion, precise, balanced, inevitable. In many ways, he's the bridge between Hendry's precision and O'Sullivan's artistry. Judd Trump's emergence as a modern genius shows how snooker continues to evolve. Once dismissed as pure flair, Trump reinvented himself into the complete player. Tactically intelligent, mentally strong, and still capable of breathtaking creativity. His century tally and sustained success proves that genius doesn't always burn out. Sometimes it matures. He's the proof that the next era belongs to those who can combine speed, control, and imagination into one seamless style. And finally, there's Mark Selby, the master tactician. His genius isn't flashy, it's psychological. Selby's ability to grind down opponents, to stay patient for hours, to absorb pressure until others crumble makes him one of the toughest players the sport has ever seen. He's the chess player of snooker, the man who sees 5 moves ahead. His genius is mental, not mechanical, and that's why he's so hard to beat. When you put all these traits together, the speed of Drago, the temper of Higgins, the genius of O'Sullivan, you start to see snooker as not a game of balls and pockets, but as a study of the human mind. Every player sits somewhere on that triangle, fast or slow, calm or fiery, mechanical or magical. It's what makes the sport so endlessly fascinating. There's no one way to be great, only different ways to be unforgettable. Speed gives us drama, temper gives us emotion, genius gives us wonder. And when all three collide, as they sometimes do in the rarest players, snooker transcends sport altogether. It becomes something else, a story of character, risk, and brilliance. A mirror of life itself, played out under the lights of the green base. The Crucible Theatre in Sheffield has seen them all. The lightning-fast clearances, the furious outbursts, the tears of genius and defeat. It's why, year after year, people return to watch, not for the scores, not even for the trophies, but for those fleeting electric moments when someone plays beyond logic, beyond emotion, when speed, temper, and genius fuse into something timeless. Because that's the beauty of snooker. It's not about who pots the most balls, it's about who reveals the most of themselves while doing it. And that's why we rank the players by their speed, temper, or genius. We're not just measuring ability. We're tracing the heartbeat of sport that, for all its silence, has never stopped roaring.